Hello, everybody. My name is Dean Takahashi. I'm the lead writer for GamesBeat at VentureBeat, and here at the Game Developers Conference with Chris Hewish. And Chris is from Xsolla. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you, Dean. I am Chris Hewish. I work at Xsolla. I am the Chief Strategy Officer, working on all kinds of cool special projects and new initiatives.
And you guys have just come out with the gaming industry State of Play 2025 report and beyond. There's some very interesting sort of insights to cover there. We want to zero in a bit on the changing landscape of game monetization. And I guess my question is, how have game monetization strategies changed in the past few years?
Sure. So as you said, we put out our State of Play report. We do that a couple of times a year. Tons of data. This report has evolved over time. So big kudos to the team for pulling it together. One of the things that we talk about in regards to trends and what's happening is what's going on with payments and monetization, as you said. So we've really entered a phase where the phrase ease of use is something that people should think about when it comes to payments and monetization. And what I mean by that is over 50% of people now are doing digital transactions through digital wallets, and that's things like Apple Pay or whatever, and they have all of their information preloaded, so it's very easy for them to make a transaction. So even though we have a great payments API that has over 1,000 different payment methods from all over the world integrated into it, which is another form of ease of use, it makes it very easy for players to transact with your games. But that theme of ease of use is really big when it comes to payments. I think we're all familiar with back in the day, which was not that long ago, you go to a website, you want to buy something, and you have to enter in all of your information again. Well, now, with ease of use, you go to a website, and that website either asks for just a single login from a digital wallet, or it already knows your information, or it has an API like ours already integrated into it, which makes it very, very easy to transact and get straight to buying what you want.
So this has really sort of come into its own now in the last couple of years or so.
Yeah, it really has. And, this is part of, I think, a bigger trend, which is all about putting power in the hands of the consumers and the users. A lot of these things were locked away previously in platforms and gatekeepers, but now really there's a lot of just power going to the players, and that's, again, making things easier to use or giving them more access, whatever it might be.
So we know it's been a tough couple of years for game developers. What are some of the challenges that they're having with generating revenue?
Yeah, it has been tough, as we all know, within the industry for game developers. And when it comes to generating revenue, one of the big things that we're looking at, one of the big trends is the value proposition of platforms or gatekeepers, depending on where you are in the world, how you refer to it. These platforms that charge 30% of your revenue to actually be on them, the value propositions have really declined. And what I mean by that is they've become very saturated, very overcrowded. Discovery is a real issue. And what we're seeing now with developers is they're really looking at how do we evolve, we stay on the platforms, but evolve beyond them so that we can get a lot of our big spenders or most engaged players into an ecosystem where there's a much, much lower fee, where margins are more favorable to the developers.
And is this working? Are they making progress sort of shifting that way?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're seeing incredibly high capture rates for companies that create, whether it's a web shop or their own direct-to-consumer publishing platform, very high capture rates in the 70% neighborhood of people that go to those platforms and actually, purchase. We're seeing a 16% increase in overall revenue for companies that are engaging with these, because it's not just about the margin. That's a big part of it, right? You're paying a smaller fee, but you're actually able, now that you're connecting directly with your player, you're able to understand who that player is, create offers, and create value propositions for them that is much more meaningful, because you have direct access to them, you have all of their data, And this increases the overall revenue that you're able to generate from players.
Yeah, those are impressive numbers. I imagine developers can't go bragging about them though, otherwise they might upset some of their overlords.
That is a delicate dance, and I think there's a historical analogy there. Back in the day, for people who have been in the industry for a while. Games used to be sold through brick and mortar stores, right? And then digital distribution came on. And there was a real dance of, you didn't want to upset the Best Buys and the Walmarts of the world, right? And eventually there was a tipping point where the majority of transactions were happening digitally, so that went away. I think we're in a similar mode here with the platforms where the platforms control a lot, but more and more revenue is more and more players are going off platform, through channels like Discord and being able to communicate directly with them. They're able to go to these web shops or these online publishing platforms. And the platform holders, the gatekeepers, are kind of in a tough spot now because they can't really punish people for that as long as they're playing by the rules. And on top of all of that, you have, like in Europe, you have regulations coming into play that actually protect the developers and allow them to really run their businesses in the best way that they can. So I think we're at a point now where between consumer behavior, we've seen enough examples of people who have done it without getting slapped down, and we see regulations coming into play that really create a good opportunity for people to take advantage of this. But again, last comment, we don't say ditch the platforms. Platforms are amazing, right? And there's a lot of benefit to them. It's more about evolving your business.
And I think it's interesting that you guys realize that you need to support the developers as they sort of make these transitions too, and you're offering funding, offering distribution, teaching them more about monetization. I think that this is all part of Xsolla's strategy.
It really is. I mean, look, we're all about bringing opportunities together. We want to really give somebody the opportunity, if they have a great idea for a game, whether it's a solo developer or a massive company, we want to provide them with everything that they need to actually succeed at the business of the game. So historically, that's been a lot of payment work that we've done through being a merchant of record for our partners, but we've really grown beyond that, and we're providing a lot of new tools, a lot of new solutions. We announced many this week, things like offer wall, publishing as a service, loyalty as a service, all of these great things that allow our partners to really engage with their players. So we want to be there, we want to help people, and we want everybody to succeed with their games.
And there's competition, like how does your sort of solution offering contrast to others in the market?
Yeah, we're in a pretty unique place, to be honest, Dean, where we offer a little bit of everything. We kind of sit at the middle of a Venn diagram of you have people out there that are payment processors. We work with all of them as a merchant of record. So we have over 1,000 different payment methods. So there's a payment part of the Venn diagram. There are platforms, which are another part of the diagram. We provide everything you need to run your own platform. And then there's other game technologies like, cross-platform play, back-end services, all of that we offer. So we really sit in the middle, and there's a lot of companies in this space, but there's really nobody who's offering everything that we do, and we offer it for free. Basically, if you work with us, we just charge a flat fee, and you get all of this for free.
Interesting. So we want to focus on growth trends and an industry outlook as well here. So the industry has grown like 9% in the last 3 months, and I wonder what's driving this increase.
Yeah. So the industry, it's interesting. The industry has entered a mature phase when you look at industry life cycles. So the growth rate has, like you said, it's 9%, 10%, depends where you're looking at. That is really being driven a lot by mobile and also PC. So we've seen a lot of growth in those areas. I think later this year we're going to see a bump in console once we have some of the prestige titles releasing that'll drive adoption.
New console in the market too, from Nintendo, right?
Exactly. So, we're seeing a lot going on there. and the growth is still strong. It's above inflation, so we're an industry that's still growing in a very good way. And part of what makes us great is we're always innovating. There's always new things coming up, new business models, new platforms, technologies, whatever. And I think that really fuels our growth. So.
Now, there's industry consolidation still happening, though. I wonder if that's a risk or that's an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, industry consolidation, that's part of being a mature market, right, where you enter a consolidation phase. So it's been tough, right, where we have large companies that are acquiring other large companies, and it forces them to focus on fewer, bigger games, games that are, if you're a company like Microsoft, you're going to focus on a game that can move the needle on your revenue report. So you have to focus on multi-billion-dollar titles. So games that maybe make a few $100 million or tens of millions of dollars really aren't worth it for these companies.
Small beans, huh? Yeah.
But yeah. But I think that also creates a lot of opportunity, where I think there's a great opportunity for new publishers to come into the market, or for developers to even take control of their own destiny. I mean, being an old developer myself, I would be very happy with a game that made, tens of millions of dollars a year, right? And especially if I'm going direct and owning all of that myself.
Nice. There's other things impacting the market. Cloud gaming is something you guys have gotten behind. How do you think it impacts game distribution?
Yeah, so cloud gaming, that's another interesting thing where we all know what happened with cloud gaming when it first came out. It was really touted as a platform in and of itself. The reality is cloud gaming is kind of more of a feature, and it's something that can be very important to how you connect with your players. What we're seeing is people looking at cloud gaming as a way to open up the top of their funnel, where they can connect with players anywhere to play. Back in the day, we used to have to make demo discs, right? To go and get people to try our game. Well, cloud gaming is a great way to reach out to an audience all over the world, allow them to try your game before they buy it. And then there's also new business models, such as pay as you play, right? Which are very valid for cloud gaming and getting games into people's hands. Yeah. But I think it's part of just your overall business model. It's not a standalone.
Yeah, I remember sort of the play before you buy Bejeweled, I think was one of those. gave you 20 levels for free or something, and then you had to pay. Yeah. But interesting times. So what role does Xsolla see cloud gaming playing in like this whole future of game distribution?
So, I tie it back to that idea of, if you're a game developer, going direct to consumer, right, is so important. Doing that very early on. Cloud gaming gives you the ability not only at the later stage to let people try before they buy, but you can actually engage with people to test your games out, early on. You throw up a cloud URL and send it out to plenty of players, and they can play a beta version of your game or play early versions, and then you can just turn it right off, right? It's very easy to get games into people's hands, get feedback, but also control, right? So it's not being... it's not, people aren't keeping it and running with it and all of that. So, it's really important, I think, and it also creates a lot of opportunity to just expand your reach across the globe.
Yeah, I've seen some companies come out with models like ad-based cloud gaming as well, instead of subscriptions, and that seems like going a step further than in taking some risk on the cloud than others have.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are fees involved in cloud gaming, which makes it tough for certain types of games, and that's the point of like new business models, whether it's pay as you play or ad based or whatever. Something that can offset that fee is pretty important.
Yeah, interesting. What other interesting conversations have you had here at GDC as well? As we're sort of getting into our closing thoughts here.
So I think really two sort of macro ideas of conversations. AI has been a big topic conversation. People wondering, how is AI impacting the game business? I think we're kind of early in that stage still, where people haven't quite gotten to the point where they're creating custom AI that works with their own internal tool sets and workflows. So I think there's a lot of questions around AI and how it's going to impact jobs. The consensus seems to be, though, that now that we're starting to get used to it, that AI can actually be additive, right? And it can be kind of a wingman to production and all of that. You know, you have companies like Ubisoft with Ghostwriter AI, which is, you know, helping to create narrative, but it needs a human writer to actually, you know, tweak it and work with it to get it final. So I think there's a lot around AI and transparency. You know, the idea that, okay, if you're going to introduce AI into the workplace, be transparent about it. You know, let everybody know how it's going to impact them and give people an opportunity to learn and work with it. And then the other thing is on the funding front. You know, I think starting to hear that there's, you know, things are starting to move a little bit more on the funding front. And public markets are still a little closed, but there's definitely interest from other funding sources to start getting back into games.
Yeah. Yeah, no, interesting deals happening too. Scopely buying Niantic for $3.5 billion. I mean, in you know, some ways that's consolidation, but in other ways it's good. I mean, some people will get a payout from that and pour it back into the ecosystem.
Yeah.
I think, right. So, and yeah, I do hope. I think that we will see some kind of return back to growth, where growth means, you know, the revenues for the companies are growing, but also, you know, people are embracing new technology, either gamers or game companies embracing new technology as it comes along, and then creating a growth in jobs, right? And if you can sort of accomplish all of that at once, I mean, that's something that the game industry has not seen for a while. And,
Correct.
you know, that's where all the pain has been coming from, I think. But if we can hit on all cylinders, those would be the right cylinders, I guess.
They would be, and that's why, you know, just personally for me, and I know for our company, we're big proponents of going direct to the players, putting power into developers' hands. And, you know, when you talk about jobs, you know, you think about if you're keeping 20% more of your revenue, you know, some of that's going to go to marketing, some's going to go to building better offerings for your players, but that's also more money to retain your staff, right, and keep your teams. So I think, you know, I think there's a lot of good things.
And hopefully that would also be more like jobs for the small companies or the smallest developers being empowered to do the work of, you know, more people because of things like AI, right? And not necessarily just, you know, creating a lot of bloat at the biggest companies.
Exactly.
That's been part of the problem.
Yeah.
Some of those companies have gotten sort of too big and too unable to maneuver, right?
Yes,
right.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
But very good. Any last thought from you too?
No, you know, I think, you know, it's really great to be back at GDC. I know there's a lot of developers here, which is really, really cool to see. And, you know, I think, you know, the industry is coming out of a little bit of a rough patch, but the future looks bright. Growth is all there, and, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dean.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dean Takahashi, lead writer for GamesBeat at VentureBeat. Very happy to be here with Berkley Egenes. He's the Chief Marketing and Growth Officer at Xsolla.
Thanks for having me, Dean. This is great.
Yeah, great to do this again. And we're talking about the evolution of mobile game monetization here. And first question for you is how has mobile gaming transformed over the last decade?
It's come a long, long way. It used to be just buy the game, play it, stay on the mobile device. Now it's different revenue models, different mechanics, different things you're going on to it, and you're also seeing more and more IP-based games getting brought to the forefront and really building up. And so it's really changed the way people think about it. I mean, you think about getting your first smartphone or your first cell phone. I mean, I didn't have one until I was out of college, just to date myself a little bit. But really where it's come is it's a part of you. It's a part of your ecosystem that you carry with. And then gaming's part of that dialogue and conversation because people want more and more content and they want more experiences. It's not just social media, it's just not pictures, it's not text. Now it's gaming, it's entertainment, streaming movies and things on the phone. And be able to see that and what does that look like in the gaming ecosystem for us, like while we're sitting here at GDC, to have that type of conversation and what, even just the last 3 years, I think it's changed significantly.
Yeah. Yeah, think about free-to-play came in, it's a big force. It helped the industry become the biggest part of the game industry, right? And also, I think kids nowadays, they're growing up and playing their first games on a mobile phone instead of on a Nintendo device.
Oh,
right?
100%.
And that's like a total sea change for,
Oh,
you know.
I completely agree with that. That was a big topic of conversation we had in January in London. It was like the first type of entertainment you see. If you go to a restaurant now, you see parents with the iPads or the cell phones, and what are they doing? They're playing a game. The kids are playing a game, and the thumbs are moving real fast already at, 5, 6, 8, 12 years old, and like what's going on, and that's their first kind of foray into a mobile device is through a game.
And so we saw all this goodness of the trends all favoring gaming in a very big way. Mobile gaming in particular was having spectacular growth. There was more growth in the pandemic, but
Sure.
also we had like headwinds that
Right.
came, and Apple's push for privacy over targeted advertising among them.
For sure.
And so, what sort of challenges did you see emerge here?
So it's a different type of user, different type of consumer. We talked about during the lockdown and stuff, casual games started to explode. And from a mobile perspective, and I think you're seeing that trend continue a bit as we go, and there's different types of casual games or different versions of it. What's happening, and the demographic became a little older, skewed a little female in some games and types of genres and go into, which I think is fantastic, because then it really at that core, everybody's a gamer from a mobile perspective. And then as a game, and where your revenue models are gonna come from, you gotta think and be diverse, because a lot of games were very ad-based. That was their only monetization model, was they were selling ads in the game. Now, with IDFA, you gotta rethink that and what's going on, and then now you have opportunities with DMA, and regulations and things are changing in Europe, they're changing in Southeast Asia, they're changing in Korea and places like that. Where are we gonna go? Where are we gonna go to stay on top of it? But I think some of the trends and the shift, the cultural shift that not only happened in gaming in general, and everybody thinks it's just PC console. No, it's mobile. To do and to take that time, that fresh moment, you're still at home during lockdown. You need a minute, you need 20 minutes, you need 30 minutes just to like zone out for a second, go sit on the couch, go sit on the back porch, whatever, and you play a mobile game. That has continued as we go forward, and some of the numbers and the results that we're seeing.
Yeah. I mean, the things that felt like stepping on the brakes, though, in some ways for mobile and its growth. Definitely IDFA, I think, no longer being able to target exactly who you wanted to.
Exactly.
I think also just as the pandemic came to a close, people just had more time that they wanted to spend on other things besides gaming, right? And so these turned out to collectively be shocks to the system, I guess, right? And now it's sort of like, what's bringing the growth back? I guess that becomes a big question. So how do you now look at the areas where you can push to really make that growth come back?
Right. So I mean, we talk a lot about going direct to consumer when you're coming from a mobile game publisher today, really focusing in owning that entire ecosystem across the board. Because we had several discussions over at the Dev Summits earlier today, and it's mobile developers would think, I gotta get in the App Store. Correct, 100%, do that first, and then they would just go to social media. Now, you gotta look at everything else and other touch points that you have to really own that experience. What we're seeing is when developers get involved actively with that, own the digital experience, whether it's online or in different places or mobile web, to be able to own that branded experience, and you're starting to see growth. You're starting to see more happening into it. You take the IP that they have around the story, give it to an influencer, give it to a creator. They start streaming about it. You're seeing the influencer creator world, particularly on the mobile side. It's not just about PC console games anymore, or streaming Fortnite or Call of Duty and things like that. We love that experience, but you're also seeing that now for mobile games, and people are streaming the content and what's happening, so you're starting to see that numbers pick up, games come out of left field that you weren't really expecting to be a boom are. And they're monetizing in multiple different ways and through different channels, and that's one of the things that we've been talking about for a while with you guys, and then what we've seen in the industry continue to grow for the last 3 or 4 years is with the web shops, being able to enable that control back to the developer so that they can own the experience, whether it's in-app or out-of-app online, to a true e-commerce experience. And I think that's one of the things that we saw that was like picked up during Two, coming out of lockdown was people are used to the e-com experience. We ordered everything online, obviously during lockdown. But then now it's like, okay, just why don't I order my skins or my gems or the weapons that I need to go play the game, even though it's on a mobile device, I still order it online.
I can't remember why, like, the game companies really sort of gave all the control to the big stores. It's sort of like saying, we're not going to sell on Amazon. Instead, we're going to sell all through Best Buy.
Right.
And that turned out to be too extreme a strategy to go and entirely trust your future only in a couple of stores.
Right.
And
It was easy. It was like checking the boxes, so to speak, and just the distribution of your game and the channels that you're looking at. But now looking at, we need incremental revenue. It's not cannibalizing on a channel. You take that one channel that you were looking at, now go incremental to it and be able to go online and then drive the experience back to the mobile device. And then you're also seeing too, you're starting to see more uptick in certain games too, because as we're seeing through the data points is they're also still making purchases. You might run out of gems that you just bought, but you're in the middle of a game session. You don't want to bounce out. You stay in there and make the IAP purchase.
Nice. So you did a partnership with AppsFlyer
Yes.
recently to help developers. What's behind that?
So it solves one real challenge to really truly measure the LTV and ROI across the ecosystem for your mobile game, and to look at what's happening in the App Store, what's happening online with your content creators, and measuring those in the different tools than what you're having from your web shop. Before this, you had 3 or 4 dashboards and sitting in front of it. If you're a game or a studio head, you're going to your analyst who's looking like, it looks like a NASA control center of all the screens that they have to understand where the acquisition's coming from and that where you attribute that ad spend to go do. Now you can look at it as we launch the web shop with Xsolla through our publisher account as the tool to use for the data analysis. AppsFlyer connects in that from an integration and really in a matter of minutes. Now you can see it all in one place. And so you run that campaign. You can A/B test your ads. You can A/B test the creative and go, oh, this color made a difference, or this scene made a difference, or we used the female character in the game versus the male character. You really need to go look at what you can do across all the platforms and own that ecosystem from essentially A to Z. And that is only possible with AppsFlyer integration into it with the Xsolla. And we're the first ones to be able to do that. The only ones is the official partner from a web shop perspective in the industry with AppsFlyer.
And let's see, so what are the benefits of direct-to-consumer sales for mobile developers?
One, we talk about it's your brand. You manage that brand across the ecosystem. As a brand person myself, you're looking at the data points, but you want consistency in the message and what's going on from the overall experience. Two, it's reality, it's the incremental revenue opportunities to go look at that and what you're able to provide, what you're able to do for the business as you sit with your CFO, as you sit with the studio head and go, this is what we're learning from. And he or she's like, why are we not doing more of this? These conversations of putting that together. So those are the important things, like the 1-2 hits, putting into it. But the third one, just we're talking about AppsFlyer, is like being able to measure, create that experience. You try different things, and it gives you, I think, a bit more flexibility because you have all the data, you have all the insights there together with you, so that you can make those sound decisions, and you're not guessing. It's not, oh, got a stroke of luck because why did this go up and why did you have this well, we ran a holiday campaign. That's only going to last so long in your conversations with management and finance teams. But to understand, we ran this campaign, had this type of communication, this is what we're going to do. We're going to hold that because it was a holiday thing, but maybe we try it for St. Patrick's Day, which was yesterday, and try something different, or you're going to look at something going into the summer to be able to learn those lessons and apply those and be able to double down versus spending a lot of guess and having a lot of waste when it comes to the investments that you're making.
Do you see some signs out there that maybe things are coming back or getting better for the mobile game companies? I don't know.
We do, because a lot of them, they're trying these different things and putting it together. We're seeing from the numbers perspective of the projections that we're seeing the growth trajectory, and we've looked at many, many, many studies and looking at almost 120 billion by the 2027. So those trajectories are jumping that we're seeing, and these are all post-pandemic. post-lockdown time periods is really see that, and we see in positive waves, and then you're also seeing more IP come into the games. We're talking to developers all the time, and it's like, I have this IP, I'm gonna use this, and it's from a mobile game. Now they're telling, we're talking about comic books, we're talking about storytelling, we're talking about videos, and like, how does that come alive for them? And it's all about expanding their brand and getting that longevity. Because there's a lot of brands that, a lot of mobile games will kick out, it's quick. The casual games, very quick, get it out there, you want multiples, you want multiple versions, which is fantastic. There's others that want to build that ecosystem from a long-term perspective, and we're seeing more of that happening. We're having more conversations with folks, and we're like, that's an incredible idea.
It feels like there are people also trying to do things that, say, might have happened in times when things were so much better, like user acquisition funds are reappearing, more discovery platforms, creator-driven platforms as well. So people are trying new things. To me, that's just a sign that there's confidence in the system.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So.
I completely agree with that, and it was, for a while, it was woe was me kind of mentality and thinking, and you were starting to see a little bit of a plateau in what's going on. But yeah, I agree with you. The creator economy that's building more and more from a mobile space is pumping life into a lot of these games. And it's having a halo effect across multiple games within a genre, and people are finding out more. There's more discovery that's happening, and really being smart about it. And what you're seeing to the developers too, the UA team and like the retention loyalty teams used to be different. Now they're coming closer together internally. It's like, how do we collaborate on this? Acquire that user. We immediately converted them into a whale. Now you go through a management and a loyalty perspective with that whale and provide them multiple offers. Hit them up, personalized emails, communications. You're starting to see more of that cross-sector internally from the developer side of things that you traditionally didn't see previously.
Yeah, with loyalty programs and player retention, that's a focus for Xsolla. How do you folks execute these sort of ways to enhance player engagement?
Sure. So we just launched a loyalty as a service solution, and offering that translates over to mobile. So you're seeing scenarios like subscription models, bundle packs, season passes, things like that come into it, and really changing the economy or the economics of the game, but it's what users are looking for. And so they can try different patterns, to try different things, to be able to make that purchase and be there from a long-term perspective. It's no longer just get them in the game, make the spend and the transaction. It's what do we do over this next month with that user? Do we give them the opportunity to do that? You give them rewards points that go into it that they can convert and use that into real fiat, essentially, and putting it into the game and making the transaction based on the retention they did, or leveling up based on performance based. It's like, oh, you reached this level, here's a reward. You go into your web shop, be able to redeem that reward. What's happening. So you're having those incentive offers that are coming into it, and players are staying. Players are making repeat purchases. We're seeing numbers that we just had in one of our recent reports that came out. It was like 77% of people who knew about the web shop made a purchase. So you're looking at it from a UA perspective, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's over 75%, right? Over 3/4 of users. And then 90% of those people are coming back.
Yeah.
And we have friends in the industry that are doing, call it a Monday, Thursday, a Tuesday, Friday offer. And the people are coming every time and making that purchase. And you're seeing $50 transactions, $100 transactions. You're seeing $1,000 transactions. Some of which we've seen.
I've done one of those yet myself.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. But you look at it, we've heard stories of, and we've seen it as upwards of $10,000 for a transaction for a deluxe super whale bundle pack for a mobile game. In your head, you're thinking about that from the free-to-play model. Traditionally, you're like, that was never even considered. And it was a reality, but now it really is a reality because of the value that people are being able to provide in a web shop, in an online experience, but ultimately come back to play on the mobile device.
That sounds like the rich person
Yes.
gifting something to their entire clan or something.
Or something like that. That's an auntie or uncle kicking in and putting something together for the holidays.
So lifetime value, I guess this is a critical metric for
For sure.
mobile developers. What do you learn about that?
Yeah, I mean, the LTV, you're trying to find what the long-term value, and you're able to say, you know, if Dean's the player and he's a whale in our game, how much what is the worth that you go into it? So I invest, you know, $100 to quote acquire you as a user to come into it. So that $100, do we turn that into 1,000? Do we turn that into 5,000 over the time? Of course, in offers, that's a huge metric that people use, and they rank, you know, see what their players are using, and they'll take the top 25, give them an offer. Take the next 25 to 100, send them an offer, and really get them involved in, like, and we can do it over email, you can do a social media post, in some scenarios, and like people are trying different things to grow that long-term engagement with the user, because it's easier to upsell an existing user, we all know that, versus acquiring a new one. And to do that and to get the incremental return from that, the retention, the loyalty teams are becoming a significantly more important role in mobile games. Going into it was there for PC online games, but really from a mobile perspective, you're seeing that more and more.
And for future trends in mobile monetization, what do you think of the future of monetization and how that's gonna, you know, just change in the next few years?
Yeah, you're gonna see different ways. You're gonna see third-party, you know, payment methods. You're gonna see other things like that. We're seeing more digital wallets. We're seeing direct carrier billing with telcos coming into it, and really bringing in the digital super apps that you have and what you're used to using, and paying for your coffee or paying for your cell phone bill, and really connecting those together. You're gonna start seeing offers come out from a telco that has a game attached to it. You're gonna see offers from your banking app that was going on, instead of, hey, get, you know, this credit card or a savings account. No, here, why don't you go buy this game and have an experience and earn loyalty points for that. I mean, that's one of the things that we've seen with great success is, we've talked about it over the last couple of years, is the MasterCard Pay with Points program. It is now live in Poland and executing and doing really well, and particularly on the mobile side of things, going into it to use those points that you earn from those transactions, and using those to redeem digital goods in a microtransaction. That's where you're gonna start seeing these loyalty programs and loyalty as a service come to mobile games, and in your player account that you have set up, and you earn points for those transactions. It could be for the original purchase or a season pass, and then you'll be able to go execute that on a microtransaction level. You're gonna see that more and more as we go forward, particularly in countries that are more used to using super apps and digital wallets. We're getting there, but I think the rest of the world's been there much faster than we have in the United States, particularly Asia. I mean, even South America, you got unbanked players and picks in Brazil and things like that. You're gonna see that more and more.
Yeah, it'd be great to see actual rewards that I could
Yeah.
make use of instead of having them locked away in some airline miles account.
Oh my God, and make it so difficult sometimes to use them.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I just want to use these 100 points here that I earned to go in a microtransaction, and I would use those all day long and do it more frequently. You talk about loyalty, you talk about retention, and be able to use the points that you earn immediately. You don't care if it's $3. You're going to use that because it's $3 I didn't have to spend on this transaction. And but if you can get to like a 1-to-1 and you have 100 points, that's amazing. That's the goal.
Yeah.
For
So
mobility.
what advice would you give to developers who are looking to, you know, monetize mobile and optimize it better?
Sure. Don't be afraid. Try, test, make some mistakes, learn lessons of what's going on and what works and what's going on. Follow the rules. First and foremost, let's come back to that.
Yeah.
Follow the rules in the terms of service and what Apple and Google have set up to go as the guiding principles, and like promote your game across your ecosystem, use advertising, use social media, use influencers, leverage the content creators, get that out, offer those select bundles, do quests. You're going to start to see more and more quest engagement and reward-based gaming coming into it. Give that to a creator. Have the user go on a quest, earn some value, some points that you come into and be able to redeem as we go forward.
It's nice to see movement here and there where, like, I saw Samsung
Yep.
announce for their Galaxy Store that they're, going to give 80% share to developers and only keep 20%. I mean, that's a change for a platform company, right?
Incrementally, there will be, people will move on that. For that 10%, and you're looking at that hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of business, that's real money. That extra 10% is real money to your business that you can either go into UA, it can go into retention or loyalty, or put it in your next game and figure that out as you want to go.
Yeah. What are some takeaway thoughts you have here from this session and from this GDC as well? Too?
GDC, this one's been a buzz. Every GDC is very different as we go into it, engage into it. We actually had sun today, so we were excited about that. But we're having more and more conversation about what's next. What do we do? How do we monetize? And the measurement tools more than ever. We've had more discussions with folks in that industry. Obviously, AppsFlyer, we've been having lots of talks and chats with throughout as we go forward. But you're looking at what's next. How do you differentiate yourself from a game perspective across the different genres? And so that makes it fun and interesting that we see. But there's a lot of new creative buzz, I feel, over the last 2 days. And the show is going to officially open like tomorrow. So we'll see that kind of buzzing and going. So we're very interested to see what's happening there. But games are having more and more involvement in the marketing side of the business. How do we tell our story?
All that noise in the background, I think it's like Google and Apple have found us. And we
They're coming after with the sirens too.
We gotta get out of here. They've discovered our safe house here.
For sure. But this is good. Thanks for having us. I thought I was San Francisco. It might be an earthquake. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So lastly, though, where can attendees learn more about Xsolla's latest offerings and
So
initiatives?
for sure, we just launched our new release notes, as we call it. So new solutions and offering expansions on web shop. You can talk about loyalty as a service, offer wall, cloud gaming. So go to our website at xsolla.com. You'll see it on the homepage right there, and click into the release notes and see what's happening. New goings, lots of conversation. We're doing lots of demos here that are happening here in San Francisco. So we're over at Moscone West on the first floor. Have a whole setup there, and we're inviting people to come check it out. And then we're down the street at the Howard SF. So we have demo stations. We're having lots of conversations. Come see us if you're here in San Francisco. If you're not, check out the VOD of this when that comes out, what's going on, and then come check us out at xsolla.com. And we're here to help. We want to hear what opportunities that folks have that they're facing, and we'll be successful together. And so that's why we believe in bringing opportunities together for the video game industry.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Good to see you as always.
Yeah.